I could crush anyone who stood in my way. I don't blame you, He-Man. It is quite captivating. Don't worry, I'm not here to fight. You have never displayed any kind of trace of concern for anyone other than yourself. And all of a sudden you expect me to trust you, one of Skeletor's most loyal allies, to lead me through Snake Mountain and to find an artifact of ultimate power? Where exactly is the word gullible? Where is that written across my forehead? It's not your forehead I'm looking at. No woman in their right mind would want to deceive a muscular, good-looking man strutting around a little more than a loincloth. And welcome back to some He-Man talk. Unfortunately, I can't get the buffering to stop for Flex or Daily Motion, and it's fucked up because I will not be able to finish Snake Man for you until a later date. So go fuck me in the ass, right? Because I can't get what I want. So, speaking of sexual innuendos, so here we have He-Man as the way he originally was. Now, some people like Jabroni Mike, and he's a good streamer, Mike, but Mike questioned He-Man. It's like, why do people like this stuff? Are people gay into He-Man back then? It's like, no, that's not what it's about. You have to understand the logic of why He-Man looked the way he did back in those days. You go back to Conan the Barbarian. You go back to Conan the Destroyer. The Barbarians in 19, which I still have not seen Barbarians of 87. I've seen Masters of the Universe 87, Red Sonja, the Beastmaster, and what was it? What was it? Oh yeah, Dungeons and Dragons, the Saturday morning cartoon on CBS. I mean, we were very quest minded, very the barbarian saves the day, the heroic warrior saves the day. These kinds of movies did so well. You think about Clash of the Titans, which had a silly little bird that's like Orko, right? Clash of the Titans inspired He-Man as well as Conan. So this was okay. And you have to understand too, men wore the short shorts in basketball, college basketball or NBA otherwise, until we got to the early 90s. So people wore short shorts. That's the way it was, and high socks. So for those of you younger than 35 or 30, maybe you're in your late 20s, early 30s, and you don't understand why he looked this way, it's not a gay thing. It was just the way it was. This was considered normal. Now, you think about it, He-Man ain't got much protection, okay? What power is he going to just deflect things, deflect shots with his sword if he hits it in just the right place? I mean, you could what can you do? You can neuter He-Man, I guess, if Skeletor wanted to really, I'm just going to hurt you. Yeah, right? So, you could do anything. But I think that, yeah, at the time, nobody questioned it. What made up He-Man in the Filmation cartoon, I mean, we see the old comics, right? But then you get to the Filmation, and the Filmation made him up of, you had a real bodybuilder, rotoscoped with John Irwin's voice. And so He-Man came off as this fatherly being who gave you morals. And what I felt more was John Irwin's voice more than any kind of innuendos or any kind of suggestions. And that was it. We never thought about such things. The 80s was a different time where we didn't ask such questions. When you heard of the gay 90s, that was the gay 1890s. Right? When Thomas Edison was thriving, we didn't think of who was gay in 1890. I mean, we really didn't ask questions like that. So you kind of have to get there. Because when you get to be my age and you have to explain the 90s and the 2000s to somebody else in the 2030s and 2040s, you're going to have to do like I do. You have to explain it on some kind of either a holographic platform or some sort of see-through glass television set to explain things. I don't know how we're going to do it, as opposed to right now where I'm talking to you with a small phone in my hand. It's 2026, but so this was the way it was for a while. Okay, so when we get to 1989 through the early 90s, this was the He-Man who wore pants. Okay, and he still had to look heroic, but he wore pants. He has a body armor here and a helmet, because that's the way it was with the original toys. I think the last He-Man and Skeletors were Laser Light He-Man and Laser Light Skeletor, I think. And then you got to these ones that really lit up. But they don't light up here. This one does not. It's Masterverse. But they gave He-Man pants. because he was traveling through outer space, so he's going to look a little more. I think it was like, as Neon said from Clownfish, there's focus groups, and they say, well, people want him to wear pants. Okay, so he wears the pants. And that's how he turns out to be for a little while. But then we get to 2002. And when it came time to that time, for the 2002, they had to bring back that look. So he had a longer loincloth. So, I mean, the look had to come back. And one of the reasons they used the H chest plate also was that the Iron Cross was considered part of Nazism. So they got rid of the Iron Cross and put H. So you would see in later versions H. So for Masters of the Universe Revolution, and this one, they brought back the classic look because that's who He-Man was. And here we have the Masterverse version. This is it was the 2021 He-Man. And you can tell he's got his whole chest covered. He's covered everywhere except most of the upper arms and the head. So he has to look like He-Man. And this is probably the most politically correct version. You have focus groups telling people, okay, well, we think that this would be the best way to show He-Man. All for naught. Because, again, I could go over the failures of this cartoon. It wasn't the cartoon itself. It was the fact that how they put it out there. If they had done a little bit where, and I think now you could still buy the episodes separately, but it was just the inaccessibility of this cartoon to most kids. They couldn't watch this. So there was no season 4, and who knows if it'll ever resurface once. And it may end up going to Amazon MGM Studios' website subscription service and not Netflix. So that's going to be a shitter. But that's what we have. We have this design of no loincloth, but a lot of clothing. And so if you look at past versions, even, let me see if I could show you. We'll take a little trip. You go down to where he has the King Grayskull armor. And when I mean King Grayskull, I mean of this version. So we look here, fully clothed, full armor. This is the full armor He-Man here. And this is King Grayskull's outfit. And to show you his special features there. So this is a very fully clothed He-Man. Okay. So that's where we're at. And here you can see this is the 2014 version where he's fully clothed. This is very similar to this one. Notice that you have the H, no Iron Cross chest plate. And I'm trying to remember that Dolph Lundgren had a more furrier loincloth. I could go check, but we'll just focus on the current issue of this He-Man Skeletor skirt, which it looks familiar to me. Kind of reminds me a little bit. See how we have this guy here? So it's like a fake He-Man that goes with Keldor. And this was in Icons of Evil, Triclops. And so they try to break in to the sort of the fortress where Triclops and the original Tinkerer are. So there's fake He-Man, right? So he gets zapped. And then the other guy gets zapped, but eventually Keldor gets to his destination, where he and Triclops, the swordsman, fight. It's called the Swordsman, but that's what this kind of reminds me of when I saw that. And also he has the Iron Cross, which I did point out here. One thing I didn't notice, I didn't realize, that I'm sure some did, was the director kept the Iron Cross instead of an H chestplate, which if they did, that would have been fine. But here's a final kind of solution to this. You can't see this too well. Let me see if we can. So here you got sort of a chainmail loincloth here, which I think is the best solution here. This is Diamond Ray. This is Battle Sound He-Man, which I would have to replace the batteries because, as you should know, the button don't work. The button doesn't make sounds anymore. So, yeah. So I mean, you got to protect your nads in the wild. You got to do something. So I would say chainmail loincloth, right? Chainmail loincloth, especially in those primitive times. That's how it works. So that is tonight's topic about He-Man and why the loincloth. And if you like this one, I'll do more like these. Let me know. For now, do something different